welcome everyone. I see we've got a few guys in the chat. GTSSA Season 2, Race 7 and Pool 1. We've got myself, Stephen, on the stream tonight, and just Mr. Wes from the C8. How's it going, Wes?
Hey, how's Steve? How you doing?
No, very well, thanks, man. Just how's your race go tonight? Give us a rundown. I was too far back to see.
Well. Staying in Pool 2, luckily, with that little alpha. Strategy was on point, but my execution of the strategy was a little bit of a problem. Found myself running out of fuel on the first stint, and then coming up a little bit short in the last stint as well. So, but managed it okay. The pace of the alpha was there to compensate for my inability, if you know what I mean.
Awesome, no problem. That little alpha looked good on track, a little bit outsword until it disappeared into the distance. So we're here with the Pool 1 guys. They're into qualifying. I think everyone's just starting their first flying lap, and I'm looking on the comments section here. Quite a few guys popping in there. We've got Mohammed, Olam, Majents, Mitwan. This is another Suzzbox combo. They're all Suzzbox combos. We've got Mohammed with We Are Pace. Everyone else, feel free to drop in, give us a message, say hi so everyone can see who's here, who's not here. Right now it looks like we only have 10 guys on track. I know Fluffy Butt and Steel weren't able to make it tonight. They sent their apologies, so I'm not sure where the other 3 missing drivers are, but we've got your top 5 or 6 guys from the season on track, so I think we'll have some good racing. And onto that, I'm going to put Wes on the spot, having raced now. What car do you think would be the car to have here tonight, Wes? We've got quite a selection.
We have quite a selection here of cars that are either heavy on fuel or heavy on tires. And going by our race that we just had now, I'm going to put my money on the 86. I want to see who's in the 86 again.
Well, we got the dark horse, Wolfman Willie from
Wolfman Willie,
DMR.
Driver.
He had a very strong, I think, was it 3rd or 4th at Willow Springs, I think. I think it was Deaky first, Fluffy Butt second, and Wolfman was 3rd, if I recall quickly. And that was a very similar race, suited to his skill of, and someone like Sam as well, fuel saving and time management.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the Toyota I think suited to those strategies even better than the BMWs. So he's going to be a dark horse. Sam as well, obviously our 2-3 contenders, DK, JDJ and SMP3 Pro. They're always up front. See what cars they are in. SMP3 Pro's got his Corvette, JDJ is in the Merc, and Deaky's in the BMW. Right
and
now,
he's subbing for Dean tonight, eh?
No, he's. That's
SMP3. Stephen, he's subbing for Dean, I think.
No, that's a different league. Dean pulled out after race 1 on GTSSA.
Oh no, I'm thinking about Alan Art.
Yeah. I'm just watching Dynamics Jean currently on pole in the Porsche, so another all-rounder car that might do quite well tonight. Obviously everyone thinks with the long straight you need something with the high top end, but with these long corners that doesn't always work, as my front-wheel drive VW found out.
But the problem on the tight stuff, yeah, all that understeer.
Oh jeez, it's terrible. Coming through, I'm following Sean at the moment into this left-hand under the bridge. The front's just on a spin the whole time. We've got a bit of
I can imagine there's just nothing going on there for you.
Yeah. Currently at the back we've got RTS Stiganator, Mr. Alan van Graan. He's running his Jag, currently on his first strong flying lap. Willie sitting in 9th, Nitro Merlin 8th, Jan Ali is in GTR in 7th place, then Ghost Killer Pace SMP3 Pro, JDJ, Sam, Sean and DKP has hit the front with a 112.0. Mr. Reaper, welcome to the chat. You unfortunately can't go back to Pool 3, so we'll have to have another nice battle where I don't overfuel next week in Pool 2.
I want to go back to Pool 3.
Welcome Durant, said he's just finished his race, had lots of fun. So just while we're watching here, there's 3 minutes to go left of qualifying. I think after the last race we're going to have a vote for the best combo of the season. Obviously, other than myself, no one knows what race 8 is yet, but what's your favorite combo been so far, Wes?
I have to say, even though it was my worst race, my favorite combo was the Willow Springs race. That car was just glued to that track, but yeah, an unfortunate event to be being spun out, and it was actually that was my relegation race.
Yeah.
Got me back down to Pool 3.
But you came back to join us into, I'd say that was probably one of my favorites as well. My front wheel drive also suffered with tyres, but I managed to pull off a pole and a second in that race. I also enjoyed round 2 with the double header sprint races. That obviously did suit the car a little bit, the VW, but also off the line, the standing start, I dropped from pole to 5th place and in both races and had to fight the short race to catch back up. Had a couple nice battles there, so that was also quite cool. My worst race was Spa. But yeah, that was only there because I know I would be murdered if we didn't have Spa for 2 seasons in a row. But yeah, it's one track I don't get on well with, especially in the GR3. I actually thought I'd be relegated that race. I think I pulled off in 11th.
Oh, you really need to be patient with.
Yeah. Race 3 also was quite kept. We got Mr. Donkey dropping a couple messages there about D-pads. 40 seconds to go. Just looking, most of the guys are bailing. Nitro Merlin's jumped to pole. He's going to just manage to complete this lap. Doesn't improve. Dynamic Deaky manages to improve. Deaky was in pole. I think he just pitted and pitted out. Changing tyres for the race. Looks like a couple guys are pulling out now. They need to get themselves through to sector 1 so their times can register. So we've got Deaky on pole. It looks like Serious Sam in 3rd, 4th. Okay, so SMP3 Pros in 2nd, JDJ's in 3rd, Sam 4th, Ghost Killer 5th, Jan Ali 6th, Stimulator is in 8th, Nitro Merlin 9th, and Nitro Merlin just jumped up to 3rd. I think that's also someone with pitting out. These guys changing tyres make it nice and confusing for us. So who's your money on podium, top 3?
Shoo. Oh, that's. I think that's a worse question than on my race was.
I'm going to say. You go.
I'm going with Deaky, Wolfman, SMP3 Pro.
And I'll go Deaky, JDJ, Serious Sam, just to be a bit different. Ooh, we got a jump start there from SMP3 Pro, so it's cost him a little bit there. Nice clean getaway for Deaky, and then I think the following pack's going to be quite interesting. Into turn 1.
Not a bad place to be for SMP for that third one. You don't want to be in the front.
Nitro Merlin's managed to jump up into 2nd, Yanadi 3rd, Sam nice 4th, Stiginator 5th. 2nd place man on the grid, SMP3 Pros dropped down to 7th with that false start, costing him momentum onto the long straight. They were safely through turn 2 and 3. Yeah. We're going to see some different strategies here.
I'm quite keen to see those strategies unfold with these, this vast range of cars that we have in this.
Not too sure what happened to Ghost Killer Pace in turn 1 or 2. He's dropped 6 seconds off the back.
Way back.
Wolfman's in the Toyota in 9th. I think a good strategy for the Toyota, obviously you don't want to get left too far behind, but not having the top end, just sit in the slipstream, save a bit of fuel and get pulled along in the early stages till the tyres start wearing with the guys up front.
You're talking about sitting in the slipstream. I think my car was a severe handicap. Even in the slipstream, the guys were pulling away.
Yeah. I think the Toyota is a little bit faster than the Alpha, but not much. But yeah, look at that Toyota into turn 1, just making all at least half a second on the guys ahead. That thing's so nimble. Let's go. Got some nice battles through the pack. Stiginator going on inside of SMP3 Pro for 6th place. Dynamic Jean looking to capitalize. Serious Sam challenging Jan Ali there, big drift through the second last turn, and then into this last turn. It's such a tricky turn to get right consistently. You can see a couple different lines there.
Yeah, I notice if you get your braking just a fraction wrong or too late, then that bump just unsettles you for the entire corner. That they picked completely.
Looks like SMP3 Pro's gone back past Stiginator. Dynamic Jean also looking up the inside here. Alan was one of the guys that went wide into that last turn. Obviously cost him a bit of pace, but let's go to jump ahead to the 3rd and 4th place battle. Sam's still pressurizing Jan Ali, and that GTR is hanging in there, so he's going to have a nice bit of legs on the straight. But how's the 4-wheel drive? I haven't driven the GTR in a long time. How's it on tyres and fuel?
On the GTR, I haven't driven that car in a long time, but I can tell you the Mazda, also all-wheel drive, it's a pretty consistent car. Tricky to get right, but it's very, very, I would say, light on tires. Fuel is manageable. It's average, pretty average. It's not like extremely light or heavy, but tire management is, I think.
Here's some first bit of different strategy. SMP3 Pro jumping into the pits at the end of lap 3 to get rid of the hard tires, which are compulsory. So he's going to do it something a little bit different to everyone else. Sam looking for a way past Jan Ali. So
ooh, Wolfman off. Just a slight off in turn 1. I tell you, managing these tires for a long stint like that, going for now, it's tricky. It's tough towards the end.
Sam just got squeezed a little bit by Jan Ali, which has given JDJ a look up the inside. Without the slipstream though, he's had to pull in behind to wait for another chance. Out front, Deaky's opened up about a 0.8, 1 second gap from Nitro Merlin, and he's 2 seconds ahead of this battle for 3rd place. So the battling in the 3rd, 4th and 5th is letting the top 2 get away quite nicely. I'm sure Nitro Merlin's going to be happy about that, obviously Deaky as well. So Stignator going very wide out of the last turn, and still got Sean behind him. Wolfman 2.5 seconds off the back of this pack after his little incident. Ghost Killer Pace still sitting a little bit further. SMP3 Pro after pitting obviously in a different part of the track, but he should be back soon. DK just a little bit wide, losing a couple tenths. Nitro Merlin in his Corvette's looking quite strong here. Someone we didn't pick for the podium. It looks like Sam has managed to squeeze past Yanadi.
Like everybody's settling in and just using the slipstream now using that fuel.
I know these 3rd, 4th and 5th still look like they've got a bit of battle in them. Let's see now, lap 5, a bit of a different line by Jan going in. Backs out of it, and I think he's going to have JDJ all over the back of him, except JDJ pulls into pit lane and Nitro Merlin. So you can see JDJ 11% fuel, Nitro Merlin 5%. DK's going around, his fuel lights flashing, so you can't have too much left, probably just enough to squeeze around. So Wolfman Willie also into the pits on 5%. Jan and Sam still battling away there. I think they might have had a slight incident because they lost about 6-7 tenths on turn 1 or 2. Which will suit JDJ's ears, because music to his ears, because he's obviously out there in clean air without getting held up, so you might be able to jump these two. Let's see if I expect them all to come in now. DK with 5%, Sam staying out, Yanali 5%, so Sam, as I said at the start, might be on a fuel saving mission. Good job from RTA Stiginator with his Jag, also 5. Sorry, his Stiginator's in the Aston. Oh, who's in the Jag? Got a couple Corvettes, Merc, Toyota, Ghost Killer's Pacers in the Jag. I knew I saw one. So currently we've got Sam, who hasn't pitted yet, leading. Dynamic Sean also hasn't pitted, 2nd place, doing very well in that Porsche. Obviously he's been fuel saving a bit there in 5th, 6th place. Deke coming out the pits now. He's just been jumped by SMP3 Pro, who pitted on lap 2. And he's got Nitro Merlin, who was a 2nd behind him, or right behind him. So a good job.
It could be a super quick in lap for Sam. I hope so.
Yeah, we'll shake it up a bit. Obviously the cars that pitted first, you can see last time around SMP3 Pro did a 12.4 fastest lap of the race on his softs. Obviously DK pitted, but he was doing 14s the lap before, so that's how the difference has been made up. There's Sean and Sam both into the pits. It showed Sam actually behind John, so I'm not sure if he had a slight incident or see in lap times, but I think we're going to shake out to having SMP3 Pro leading, but he's obviously already done 4 laps on these tyres, and you can see if you look at his fuel, he's down to about 2/3 of a tank. Good strategy by Mr. SMP3 Pro after his poor start and getting stuck in the pack. That early pit stops let him manage to put in some good clean lap times and pull a gap.
I think he's onto something here, because that Corvette is not the worst tank on tyres. Might be heavy on fuel, but on tyres it's good. So
we can
maybe
see
he's going the other way.
DQ's opened up a 2nd on Nitro Merlin. JDJ has jumped both Sam and Jan Ali like I expected, with his earlier pit stop and the two of them battling. He did 12 and 13s last time around. They were doing 15s and 14s before pitting. So good strategy again by the DMR guys. JDJ, while we getting into a little bit of a settled pattern, just a quick shout out to TGN Racing Simulators, also Trackart, our main sponsors, and then ATM Chip Tuning as well. For everyone who's watching, to give them a like and follow on their social media, Instagram, Facebook, etc. 9 of 27. Everyone would have pitted so far. I'm just going to run through quickly and take a look at the tyres. So we've got SMP3 Pro racing softs, just over half a tank of fuel at the moment, and the gap's down to 1.3 seconds to DKP. DK's also on the softs, still above 3/4 of a tank. Obviously the later pit stops are more fuel. Nitro Merlin slightly less fuel than DK, also racing softs. JDJ similar fuel to Nitro Merlin and a little bit less than DK, obviously pitting a lap earlier. Racing softs, Sam on soft still. Jan Addy looking quite full on his tank there at the moment, doing the soft stint as well. Stignator soft, quite a bit of fuel. Wolfman Willie pitting earlier, he's down on about 2/3, also running a soft tyre, just making a move on the inside of Stignator there, but I think he might lose out with the power battle down the straight. Unless Stignator pulls him behind him, might want to do a bit of fuel saving. Because we know that Aston's a lot quicker than the Toyota, so sticking behind him is obviously for a reason. Dynamic Jean, that's quite interesting. Jean's running the hard stall. I don't know if that was intentional. He might be trying to one-stop this. I don't know if that will work, but yeah, he's on the hards and he's still got a load of fuel after only pitting on lap 6. So if he can do 21 laps, I'll be surprised. But then goes Killer Pace running racing mediums, so he's the only other person on a different strategy.
A one stop was really not possible here. That 50% starting fuel is killed.
Definitely, that I think that's part of my reasoning. But you can have 2 stoppers but different lengths, 5 or 6 lap first stint and then do the 13.8 or...
Yeah, but you guarantee the 2 stopper.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
But rather than having full fuel and everyone doing a long 1 stopper, now there's 2 variables with when we saw some guys pitting lap 2, some pitting lap 6.
Now I tested the 1 stopper on 2 tanks, but that's obviously unrealistic. That's not the strategy. So the best I got was 17 laps of the tank, and it's not enough.
Yeah.
Come up about 3 laps short.
I see Nitro Merlin struggling a little bit in this current stint. He's down to 3.7 behind DKP. He's got quite a bit less fuel than him as well. We now have Sam, JDJ, and then Jan Ali all seem to be closing in on Nitro Merlin. So we could have a good battle here for 3rd place coming up shortly.
I don't understand why his pace is dropping off. He's got tires compared to
he's doing 13.0 this time around on his softs, which are already 6 laps old. Not a bad pace, it's just I think the others are going that much quicker. If you look at DK running mid 12s, even Stephen Mock high 12s, 2.3 of a second slower than DK but quicker than Nitro Merlin, and his tyres are older. So looking at Sam also in the mid to high 12s. Sam actually only a 10th off DK's fastest lap on lap 9, 12.3 versus DK in a 12.2. Going further down, we've got JDJ running last 2 laps in the 13s, but he was on the 12s, so obviously he pitted it on lap 5, so his tyres are starting to get a bit more worn in that Merc. I know he sometimes does use a little bit more tyres. We saw on the N-Class race last time out, he had the worst tyres out of the front 3 of JDJ's, DK and I think it was Sam in that race. Jan Ali is still running in the high 12s, 12.6, his best lap of the race last time around. Wolfman Willie's got a 8-second gap in front of him and 3-second gap behind him, so he's managed to pick up his pace into the high 12s. Stignator must have made a mistake last time around doing a 15.0. Dynamic Jean 15's on his medium tyres, on his hard tyres, sorry. So he's still did a 14.5 last time around, so it's quite good pace for the hard tyre, and goes killer pace on the mediums in the 14s. You can see he's running fuel map 2 at the moment, so he pitted lap 5, so he's done 8 laps already, but he's probably only going to make it to about lap 19-20, and then maybe run a soft stint at the end.
So is Diki going to make it?
Yeah, looking back to the front, I just went there. It's only 2 tenths between DK and SMP3 Pro. Is DK just going to wait for him to pit earlier? Obviously a big difference in fuel, and maybe save some fuel behind him. We'll have to see where it shakes out. Yeah.
Running on map 3.
Is DK on map 3? You can't see.
Yeah, he's on map 3. So he's saving like a ton of fuel.
Nitro Merlin's dropped back into the constant low 13s on the last 3 laps. 13.011, 038 and 104. It's got Sam less than a second behind, and then JDJ also into the 13s with Yanali right behind him now in the Nissan. So we've just go back to the battle at the front. Non-battle, bit of a follow the leader at the moment, just waiting for strategy to shake out. I think DKP and that gap to Nitro Merlin's 4.3 seconds, that's stabilized over the last 2 laps. You can see DK's dropped into the low 13s behind the SMP3 Pro.
The map 4 again. I reckon if that gap to Nitro Merlin's not closing, then DK will pass SMP.
I remember our Ford rally car at Interlagos, it was a 2-stopper, and for some reason DK just kept going, and road map 6 managed to make it to the end 20 seconds ahead of everyone. So I don't know if he's thinking that, but I doubt he can make another 13 laps or 12 and a half laps on half a tank. Then we've got Jan Ali managing to pass JDJ for 5th and 6th place. So, looking at the front left on the Merc, I can vouch for the pain there. I was driving with that most of my race. The first and the last corner with that worn front left, if you compare them, it's quite a bit of a difference in rear as well on Jan Ali. So that gap and position change purely down to grip, and Stephen Mock, Mr. SMP3 Pro, pits from the lead. So he pitted on, what was it, end of lap 3 or lap 2, so he's done 12-13 laps, and he's going to have to do another 12 lap stint. Got a couple guys pitting, puts Wolfman up to 5th. Yanni still got quite a bit of fuel, same with Sam. I think Nitro Merlin, that's going to be the next to pit out of the front group. See, Mr. Midtone saying go back to the Cayman, he wants to see lap time, so we'll quickly go and find Dynamic Sean. Sean on the hards, still running constant 14s. Last time around he was slightly slower, possibly ran wide, but 14.7, 14.3, 14.4, 14.5, couple 15s in there. After the pit stop, he actually been picking up pace, obviously with the fuel coming down. Nitro Merlin's into the pit from 2nd place.
Diki's tires are falling off hard now.
I'm just looking at Dynamic Sean. He's only got just over a quarter of a tank left, 12 laps to go. He's not going to be able to make it all the way on the hard, so fires him up. He might come and surprise me now. Maybe he's running map 6, another low 14 for him, but if he is going to have to pit, I see Stignator going in with 25% compared to Wolfman and Merlin on the lower fuel loads. If Jean is going to pit, rather while he still has fuel, go in there, get in there now and whip a set of softs on for the last 10 laps or so. Let's go back through the field. Looking at Deaky, yeah, Deaky's front left is getting quite a bit of wear now. His last few laps, or the lap after,
he's been nailing it.
After SMP3 Pro came in, he dropped back into the 12s, but
yeah, I thought as much. He's wise to pit now.
Yeah, pit now. He can do 10 laps on that set of tyres. He's got much more fuel. You can see Sam, who's great at fuel saving, has only got 5%. Janelli 2%. So briefly, we might even see Jean leading, but he definitely has to make another pit stop. As we say that, he decides this is a good lap for him as well, so he comes in, goes killer pace behind him with less fuel, so Jean should keep that position. And back to front, DK out. He's got an 8-second lead on SMP3 Pro. It's up to about 10 now. Fresh tyres, enough fuel. It's jumping around. It was 8, then it went to 10. Now it's showing at 6.5. But yeah, I think that's about right. So great job by SMP3 Pro to use the early pit stop to get himself up from 7th, 8th into 2nd place, running good lap times. See, he's been in the low 13s after his pit stop, a little bit off his earlier pace, but I'm sure he'll pick it up soon. Maybe just wants to look after the tyres a little bit better and try consolidate second. Sam obviously coming out now with fresh tyres, 3.6 seconds behind. Possibly can make that up if the tyres do go off. Nitro Merlin's dropped behind Sam now after the pit stops. 4th place, JDJ running in 5th. He's got a nice gap over Yanadi now that they both got fresh tyres on. He obviously pitted 2 laps earlier, so he's been able to run in the 13s while Yanadi was in the hard 13s. But obviously he's going to have the more worn tyres towards the end. Wolfman Willie just ahead of Stignator now after the differences in fuel. It's down to 1 second. Jean in 9th place. All that fuel saving and hard running, he's 33 seconds off Deaky, which isn't too bad. 18 laps on hard tyres compared to softs. We've got Ghost Killer Pace, who had that incident on the first lap, still just 5-6 seconds off the back of the pack. He's also switched to softs for this last stint. Deaky and SMP3 Pro both were in the 12.6s last time around. See now 12.1 for Deaky, new fastest lap of the race. 12.7 for SMP3 Pro, 12.1 for Sam, almost matching DKP's fastest lap, so he's pulled back half a second on SMP3 Pro. Could have a bit of a battle on for second towards the end of the race, but SMP3 Pro has track position, so obviously Sam will need to catch him, and then in Murray Walker's famous words, catching is one thing but passing is another.
Yeah, definitely.
Nitro Merlin still hanging in there in 4th, and it's been a great drive by Nitro, managing to get into 2nd early on and getting a gap on the field while they were battling. He's got a 2.5 second gap ahead of TSM JDJ, so I'm sure he'll be happy where he is, maybe hoping to pick up the pace a little bit and get a podium. Was only 1/10 quicker than JDJ last time around, but we'll have to just keep eye towards the end how the tyre wear affects TSM. Wolfman's opened another half a second on Stiginator. Feels fairly spread out at the moment. I think our closest is your second, third, fourth and fifth, at least still in sight of each other. So we're right on board with so to the 24 people in the chat, just don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, obviously to the ATM chip tuning, TGN racing simulators, track art, you can see on the back of this Pace BMW. Yeah, even go give the Pace guys a like on social media, RTA, DMR, follow all the different teams, you can hear what they're up to, some overseas competitions, ATK, obviously the GTSSA league. We're the C8s, Mr. Wes. Give your boys give your boys a shout out.
Hey, all my boys, and he had a great win in pool 2 tonight, so he's in pool 1 next week. So that was awesome to see. We actually had a nice dice in the beginning of our race. I was hoping to sit with him, but somebody had a plan for me. So I couldn't do that, but happy to see him win. He's put in a lot of time at 86 in this track combo.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of guys don't do, is they'll say, how do you get faster? And I can't go faster because I've got a control and not a wheel, and you know, all the usual excuses. But in any form of sport actually, but motorsport especially, track time is your only way to get quicker. I remember when I was racing superbikes here locally in East London, if I did a track day and then a race the weekend after, I was about a second quicker than if we had a race with no track day the weekend before. And just you'll know that from your bike days, track time as well. Just getting in there and getting riding fit. Same with sim racing, getting driving fit. Put the hours in. If you
that muscle memory.
Yeah, if you're happy being a pool 3, 4, occasionally 2 driver like me, you'll do maybe 2 or 3 hour long practice sessions for a race. But I can guarantee the guys at the front here, they spend 15, maybe not just this race, but during a week they'll spend 15, 20 hours driving.
No, if I could have it my way, and I'd like want the next race details directly after this one, so I can start practicing.
We gave you 3 weeks to practice for this one, so thanks to our friends at Ashcom. Yeah, that was unusual though, because normally we have load shedding and it's on a Monday or Tuesday, and then by Thursday it's normally suspended. And the very few occasions we have had load shedding, it hasn't been for 2 weeks in a row. You have it 1 week, that's why we allowed the guys the opportunity to vote. And I was like, let them vote. I'm sure if it's if we suspend it next week we'll be fine. And then here, Murphy's Law, the one time we decide that, they go and load shed 2 weeks in a row. But we're back now. Fingers crossed, no problem for next week either. And yeah, we can get the season finished. Maybe the guys in the chat can let us know what they think the last race is going to be. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I did say on previous commentary that it's going to be a mini enduro race. So we're looking at around about an hour for next week's race compared to these normal races we have here.
And we know it's GR3.
Yeah. So just to drop in there, Deaky's opened the gap up to 10 seconds out front. He did 11.9. Dropped into the 11s on lap 20, which is absolutely flying. SMP3 Pros, gaps dropped down from that 3 or 4 seconds that he had, but it's only dropped to 2.5 from Sam. Nitro Merlin, though, however, has got onto the back of Sam, only half a second behind.
Nitro is more tired than Sam. Sam's tires is just as bad as SMP3, so there's not going to be a change there. I think Nitro could come up third on the podium.
Yeah, he's definitely got a strong chance the way he's been driving. Now with the tyre where Sam pitted on lap 16 and sorry, Nitro on lap 16, Sam on lap 17. So Sam's actually got fresher tyres.
But looking at the screen,
great. Yeah, he's
Sam's
worn them
tyres
all.
are toasted.
So you put them on fresher, as in put them on a lap later, but there's more wear, especially on that front. Maybe Sam's just pushed a bit hard doing that 12.1 on lap 19. If we look at Nitro Merlin, you can see he was doing mid-12s, but he's still in the 12s where Sam's dropped into 13s last time around. So we've got two and a bit laps. Yeah, 2 and a bit laps to go. He might be able to hold on. Just quickly scrolling through, Jan Ali is catching back up to JDJ. The tyre wear on the front issue and front and rear left for JDJ, and Jan Ali's only got it on the front really. That's a second, so he's going to have to get in there pretty quickly. Wolfman, Lonely 7th place. Stignator 8th. Jean 9th. Ghost Killer Pace 10th. So we're just going to watch us battle for third. We were saying, what do you think next week's race is? We're going to have GR3 and it's going to be around about an hour. So I saw some suggestions, karts on the Nordschleife. We can't do karts, we can maybe do the Nordschleife. I saw someone else earlier said, is it going to be there, Mark, is the next race going to be in the rain? So if it was in the rain, it would have to be Spa, Tokyo, Red Bull Ring. Imagine an hour-long wet race. That could be enough to GR3, enough to make people hate me for life.
Just get that out of your mind right now.
Well,
just forget you read that.
I'm going to forget. Mark, that's not a bad idea, but I'll blame you if everyone hates me. Starting the last lap now. 0.2 of a second, Sam blocking the inside already down the straight. Nitro Merlin's going to have to make a move here. He's going around the outside at the moment.
I reckon he can do an undercut here. Sam's going to go wide. Yes.
Sam covering the inside, driving very defensively, but he runs wide there.
Here we go.
He does now get the inside for the next corner. So I wouldn't mind another 2 laps of this. It's quite a good battle. Obviously, just to remind everyone, we've got Deaky 10 seconds up the road. SMP3 Pro 3 seconds further back. It actually looks like Deaky did a 14.8 2 laps ago, so he must have made a mistake somewhere to lose almost 3 seconds. Sam's got one last corner that's going to be a tricky corner. Can he hold on? We're just going to go to the front, watch Deaky cross the line. SMP3 Pro.
He's got it. It's just going to hang on.
I feel bad there for Nitro Merlin. Definitely deserves a podium with that drive. Jan Ali almost gets JDJ. I think I called Sam third by JDJ second, so my podium predictions didn't quite work out. Wolfman comes across the line 7th. Look at Stignator's front left tyre, absolutely shredded. Coming across in 8th. Dynamic Jean ended up not far behind. He's best lap for a while there on that last stint. And then Ghost Killer Pace. That's your top 10.
Well done, DG, again.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much signed sealed before this race, but with one throwaway race, if he was load shedded twice or had internet issues like season 1, Deaky might have still had a problem, but I think with that victory he's probably wrapped up the season. I think his worst result's 3rd or 4th, so unless he does worse than that next week, he can not pitch and should be able to still be unbeatable on the points table. If you had disconnected this race, like in season 1, I know you had a issue with running out of PSN network in the middle of a race, and then also a disconnect in the race after. So that opened the door big time for Sam, because they were neck and neck up until then. Yeah, just go to the results. Driver of the day for you?
I'm gonna have to go with that recovery ride of SMP3. I think he played it out well, managed his strategy, and he worked his way back up to second after that poor start. So that's gonna be my driver.
Yeah. Surprise for me is probably Nitro Merlin. I didn't expect him to be battling on for the podium there in second for a long time. I was also Deaky dominated that race from lap 1. I'm not sure why he lost 3 seconds on the second last lap, but yeah, he nailed that. And like you say, great strategy from SMP3 Pro. I don't know if that was pre-planned or I doubt it. Maybe he wanted to come in on lap 4 or 5, like some of the other guys, rather instead of 6. Yeah. But I doubt he would have planned for lap 2. But yeah, it definitely worked out for him, and he managed to hold on. I see Yaku,
definitely a reaction.
Yaku stays in the chat there asking how you guys solve internet problems. I don't know if you on the Discord or WhatsApp, but we can maybe just chat there, see what the issue is. Most of the time I'll be one of the first to admit it. We always say, no, I've got a 10 meg or 50 meg line, but I get auto drive and things like that, but it's not your line speed, it's the things like the ping and the jitter. It can do 100 megs, but if it breaks up every now and again, the game recognizes that and can kick you out. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things. So yeah, Yaku, just give us a message online on one of the communication channels, even on our Facebook page, and I'll try to help you there. Just need to get a bit more info. See, we've got Stiginator in the chat. Nice drive there, son. Yeah, he says Deacon and he's underfueling.
Underfueling and using the slipstream.
Yeah, I don't know if you underfueled
slipstream in map 4. That's the strat.
There we go. Yeah. So that's about it for tonight. Thanks to TGN Racing Simulators Track Art for sponsoring us. Also ATM Chip Tuning for our lucky draw prize. 1 race to go. Mr. Wes for jumping in to commentate. I appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Enjoyed that.
And yeah, thanks to all the people that watched. Have a great evening, and we'll have some info probably late tomorrow on race 8.
Race 8.